All too often, the climate crisis is illustrated with images of polar bears, floods, and wildfires. And when you turn on the news, headlines talk about government regulations and net zero targets, which makes it all feel so far removed from us. There's something we're not being told, and it's that 65% of all greenhouse gas emissions are generated as a direct result of household consumption. So that's you, and that's me. What this means is that we have tremendous power to solve the climate crisis, and one of the easiest and most impactful ways of doing so is to do something that humanity has been doing for thousands of years, but that in the modern world has been largely forgotten. Put simply, is to share more and waste less. Let's take food, for example. 40% of all food produced globally is wasted. 40%. This equates to an annual value exceeding 2.7 trillion US dollars, and it weighs more than 1 billion tons. The environmental consequences of this waste are catastrophic. 25% of our total freshwater consumption is spent on growing food that we never eat, and it takes a landmass larger than China to grow it. Now, if you can picture this landmass, these are not like fresh green fields stretching out over the horizon. This is land that's been deforested, soil that's been degraded, native animals that are being kicked out of their homes just so we can grow food that we then throw in the bin. And once it's in the bin, to make matters worse, food waste invariably ends up in landfill, where it decomposes to create methane, and methane in turn is 25 times more harmful to the atmosphere than carbon dioxide. For these reasons, Project Drawdown, which is a collaborative piece of work between the world's leading climate scientists, rank food waste as the single most important issue to tackle if we are to avert the worst effects of the climate crisis. Or, to put it in a context that might be a bit more easy to understand, a bit closer to home, just 1 kilogram of food waste in terms of impact is equal to how many plastic bottles, would you think? 5, 10, 50, 100? The answer is 25,000. Just 1 kilogram of food waste, think about maybe the food waste caddy that you have at home, has the same environmental impact as landfilling 25,500 milliliter plastic bottles. So where's all this food waste coming from? There are some surprising culprits. In the UK, which is broadly typical of the Western world, around half of all food waste is produced by people at the household level. Now, on the one hand, that sounds quite depressing, but it can actually, if you flip it on its head, be incredibly exciting, because it means that we can be half of the solution too. We don't have to wait for governments and corporations to do too little, too late. We have the power to do something about it ourselves. But the power of sharing can be applied to so much more than food and food waste, and this is maybe best illustrated by thinking about Earth Overshoot Day, which some of you might be familiar with as a concept, but Earth Overshoot Day is the day in the year when humanity has used up all of the resources that it can replenish in a year. In 1971, I think it was, Earth Overshoot Day was the 25th of December, so we were living broadly in equilibrium with the planet. Fast forward to this year, and Earth Overshoot Day was the 25th of July. This means that every single thing that each one of us, more than 8 billion people, have consumed after the 25th July is net depleted to the planet. Or to put it in another way, we're living as though we have 1.75 planets, which clearly we don't. We're shopping our way to extinction, and it needs to stop. When most people think about living more sustainably, they think about recycling, but our consumption habits are so ravenous, are so intense, we simply can't recycle our way out of this mess. The average drill is used 12 minutes, its entire lifetime. We need 500 boxes of power tools for all of London, and we'd be fine, but pretty much every household has one. 60% of the average child's toys are never played with. 85% of textiles are landfilled within the year that they were produced. If you want an image for this, that's a garbage truck, a lorry full of clothes that is landfilled every second. We have more of almost everything than we're ever going to need, and yet we buy and we buy and we buy. What we need instead is a whole new model of consumption. Sharing, instead of shopping, needs to become the default. After all, it was billions of small actions that helped create the climate crisis, so surely billions of small actions can help get us out of it.